Hello and welcome to the Big Bang Theory podcast. My name's John, here with my friend and colleague Dan.
Hello.
We're recording live from the Arctic today, listeners. Absolutely freezing. I'm wearing a glove because my microphone's so cold.
Same intro as last week.
Did I say that last week?
Yeah, remember we talked about wearing one glove?
Of course we did, yeah. Got it on again.
I'm not wearing any gloves. I'm just holding the microphone between one finger and thumb.
He's
a bit
hard.
like I'm like Gabrielle or something.
Gabrielle. Yeah,
Did
or
you
like
hold the mic like that?
yeah, or like getting ready to throw it like a dart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, nevertheless, we're committed to the cause.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So City went to Blackpool, Bloomfield Road. Best home record in the league. Blackpool.
Yes, a ground we have never won at.
Good.
In something like, I want to say 13, 17, something like that attempts. Never won there.
And we've only picked up 1 point in the last 9 away games.
Is that right?
I believe so.
Poor. A poor return.
That is a poor return. Fair play to the 450 who went.
We were never, yeah.
That's,
Well, yeah. We were never going to win that game. I think that's safe to say.
And we never did.
And we never did.
And we could have played another.
And we never will.
I feel like we never will. Blackpool looking good for promotion, I'd say. Looking like they're coming into form at the right time.
Yeah, decent side. Obviously came down last season.
Exeter City looking good for relegation.
Looking very good for it, yeah. Good team, aren't they, Blackpool? With some good players.
Some good players.
They play a very nice brand of football, which is, I suppose it's a little bit like Matt Taylor ball, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I suppose it is.
Quite direct, quick,
Yeah.
but with some good technicians in there as well.
I mean, both goals were excellent, weren't they?
Both goals scored by a fella called Albie Morgan.
Yeah.
It was 2-0, by the way. Was it 2-0?
It's 2-0, yeah, it's 2-0. They also, we'll go through it, shall we?
Good to know the score, isn't it, before we start doing a...
Helps. So, we were under the cosh first 20 minutes, and then absolute, behaviour of... It was like the circus, wasn't it? Watching our lot try and get rid of it, get it out. I think Hartridge gives it away, and then Sinisalo gives it away.
I thought that was what we've struggled because of the way they played, as I've sort of talked about. They pressed us high up. I mean, it's really obvious, isn't it?
But
it's
also,
a really obvious thing to do because, and I think we are just the most obvious team to play against.
Yeah.
Because I mean, especially if you think we're good, so this will be a walk in the park.
They'll be passing it across the back line,
and you know what? They're going to be doing that, and they're not even very good at it. So it's not even going to be very hard.
We'll put some pressure on, and things will happen. Things did happen. So on that occasion, Hartridge gives it away, then Sinisalo gives it away. Their striker runs into the box.
Hang on. You're missing something quite big that happened before all this.
What?
Sinisalo tried to pass it out.
Yes.
And then give away a penalty.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, right.
So Sinisalo...
Opening goal.
No. So he gives it back to Matey. He runs into the box, and then Sinisalo very poorly just takes him down. No one complains.
You could see, couldn't you? He was running out
of
way
step.
too, and it looked.
Yes.
I was like, he's too far away from that. He's not getting there, and he didn't get there, and took the man out. And you never see a more obvious penalty.
I mean, no one even makes a hint of complaint, do they?
Sinisalo wags his finger for about a second, and then just kind of goes like, "Yeah, give away the pen there, haven't I?" Jordan Rhodes.
Rhodes,
who's,
Blackburn, wasn't he?
Yeah, scored a lot of goals for Blackburn.
Steps up, takes penalties as well.
Yeah, he scored a lot of goals as well. I think he's on like 15 for the season or something. And yeah, Sinisalo saves it.
He does say it's not a very good penalty, is it?
I mean, it's not terrible. He just kind of really telegraphs where he's putting it, doesn't he? And Sinisalo's good penalty saver. You know, I like the way he sets his body up for when he's about to save it. He kind of points at one corner, and then he's got his other arm kind of like pointing out in the opposite, like almost in the opposite direction.
Yeah, that's the difference.
I'm not sure which member of the Beatles from the Help sleeve he is, but it's like a bit like that,
Yeah.
And yeah, quite an easy save. He's good at saving penalties, isn't he? That's quite a few he's done. I don't know how many.
That's the difference between a professional athlete and myself. He sets himself up to save a penalty. I'm mainly setting myself up for chips.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, aren't we all?
What's the motion for setting yourself up for chips? Just like palms open, mate.
It's sort of like rubbing your knife and forks together, like Del Boy.
Tucking your napkin into your collar.
Yeah, rubbing your belly.
Oh, yeah.
Tapping your belly.
Tapping your belly.
Salivating.
Getting the vinegar out the cupboard.
It's being on all fours in the chip shop, panting, while they get your chips, while they scoop your chips out of the fryer.
Who's on their all fours in the chip shop?
Well, I don't know. That you?
Me?
Is that what you do?
I'm more like lying on the table,
barking like a dog.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not an animal. I'm just ready for chips.
Right. Rolling around on the floor.
Anyway, Sinisalo was ready for chips. No, he wasn't. He was ready for Jordan Rose's penalty, and he saves it. And you think, that's a bit of a reprieve. And then what was it? 5 minutes before half time, they get the goal.
Yeah.
There was one moment of quality. Aitchison gets the ball on the break, doesn't he? And almost finds... Is it Harris or is it...
It's Cox, isn't it?
Cox. That's kind of it. That's kind of our whole chance in the first half.
Yeah, we didn't get the ball up the pitch enough in a very, to be very basic about things. What we've seen in the last couple of weeks is Sonny Cox do quite well at holding the ball up, especially in these home games. He didn't get any change out of the Reading defenders.
Blackpool defenders.
Sorry, Blackpool. Yeah, just really didn't happen for him. And then I think you see, okay, right. Well, this isn't going to be the. This is why this isn't the permanent solution, to all our striking problems.
Yeah.
And when there's no outlet at all, not his fault. I mean,
No.
that's just an impossible task for him. Then it's just impossible to get the team up the pitch. There's nowhere to go. We couldn't get any joy out of the wing backs either. Zach Jules seems to be a kind of, I guess it's kind of like a lopsided wing back situation where Rankin is expected to bomb on and Jules sort of doesn't.
Yeah.
So you kind of have the kind of the stretching it down the one side, but not so much on the other. Didn't work.
I mean, it just makes it even more obvious, doesn't it, for opposing teams? If our two tactics are play across the back, but then it's coming to the right hand side to be played up the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I suppose the other idea is that we play it through the middle.
Against him, it's never
difficult
happening,
to
is
do.
it?
Yeah.
So it was one
it'll work against some teams, like we saw at the home again against who was that against? The one we won the other day.
Carlisle.
It'll work against teams like that at home, but not as much against stronger teams on their own grounds.
No way.
Yeah, so then we gave away the first goal.
Yeah. Similar, isn't it? Just giving it away.
Yeah, I think you're committed to a style of kind of like having to play through and play out from the back when sometimes you just got to whack it,
Yeah.
And I think...
Do you know what, Dan? I also think you have got to whack it, but also if you've got the ball, so the passing's worked, right? Pass. You're in a position where there may be a pass going forwards, or there may be.
But they're also thinking, why whack it? Because, like I said, Sonny Cox can't really do much against those guys. But
we're really, really reluctant to step forward with the ball, aren't we? Like Carroll, but also any of the centre backs it lands to. By the way, they're centre backs. I don't put it on them. And Jules.
Reece Cole is the one that will do that, I suppose.
Yeah.
But then,
But then you're like, well, you've got to get it to that guy for it to be forward momentum. It's just like we're really lacking.
The issue with the goal is a ball into the box and it kind of bounces around, bounces back out.
Yeah.
Tom Carroll is not a defensive midfielder.
No.
And I mean it's bad if you ask me, right? Because they got the ball at the edge of the box. Reece Cole's already, I think it's Cole or Aitchison is already on the man with the ball. Carroll just runs towards him.
Yeah.
Leaving Albie Morgan in like acres of space.
Yeah.
So he gets laid off. He's got two. So he has two. The guy with the ball has two defensive midfielders or whatever, or defenders running at him.
Yeah.
Leaves Morgan.
Yeah.
Carroll then doesn't have either the pace or the inclination to get back across.
Yeah.
Kind of feints to block it, but he's miles away from the ball.
Yeah.
If Carroll just like not been following the ball,
Yeah.
he would have been well placed. Like, he was on his own. He would have been well placed to step up and block the shot from Morgan, but he's just following the ball. That's because we're playing without a defensive midfielder. We talked about this the other day. Like, that's protection for the centre backs. I mean, that's protecting your goal. Who's doing it? Like, in my mind, that would have been a game where, if you'd done any research on how Blackpool play, or just gone on the assumption that they are good and got loads of good players, you would have set up differently, would you not? That would have been a game for, I know he's injured or about to leave. That's a game for like someone like Harry Kite rather than Carroll. You know, like you can't have. Colwell obviously wants the technicians, right? So he's playing Cole and Carroll in there, along with whoever else, Aitchison and
Harris and that.
Harris.
Yeah.
None of those people are remotely defensive midfielders. Players who can break up play, players who can stick their tackle in, players who are positionally going to be in the right place in order to defend in front of the box. And obviously, and so you have to I would have thought. We're away from home against a really good team in the best home form. Stick someone in who's going to do that. Why not put Jules there? Or some form? I don't think he's that either, but why not put someone there who's just that's their job,
Yeah.
Because Tom Carroll can't do it.
More and more, I'm feeling
naive.
Gary Colwell's deluded about what might happen. It's kind of this hopefulness of we may get four new lovely, excellent players in. This may work.
Well, I suppose it's sticking to your guns, isn't it? We're going to play this way, regardless of who we're playing against. Which, on the one hand, I suppose is admirable. You see teams come up from the Championship into the Premier League and do that, don't you? You sometimes go we're not going to abandon our, footballing philosophy, and then they get their asses handed to them and then get relegated.
It
works against weaker opposition, but then you come up against someone a bit stronger, it doesn't work, No. You're seeing it with Burnley in the Premier League,
Yeah. Whereas at least with Burnley, you're there's some excitement here.
Well, we also are so far down the thing that we also haven't got any kind of really. We're not outside of glimpses. We're not playing enough weak opposition, are we, to see any kind of
no, we're not
entertainment out of it?
Well,
there's no entertainment. It was insipid, and like I said, we're always going to lose to Blackpool away. That was even if we played really well, we probably would have lost. We didn't play well. It was boring. It was insipid. It was uninspiring, and
yeah. So Morgan is a lovely goal. You have to say, it's a lovely finish.
Oh, he's hit it well, but he's got all the time in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's 1-0.
Yeah, half time.
I mean,
does he change it? No,
he doesn't.
Never changes at half time.
No, weird, isn't it? Then second half.
For a master tactician, I find it quite baffling, to be honest.
Well, the whole thing's absolute. We're getting to the point now where you're just yep. When I was a kid, right, when I played under 15s football, we had a manager, and about 2/3 of the way through the season,
name and shame.
Andy, his name was. I won't give you a surname.
Why not?
And well, we were doing quite well, top of the league, and then we suddenly dropped off. I think this. I don't exactly remember the details, but I do remember we started losing to Oakhampton Argyle, and
scum.
They were all Argyle supporters as well, which it kind of shocked me when I first realised there were other people in Devon who didn't support Exeter City. When you kind of think, what?
Is Oakhampton closer to Plymouth?
Probably 50-50 in it. Anyway, idiot. Anyway, we were losing this game, and said manager lay down on his back and just went, "Oh, lad, you've ruined it," and lay on his back for the rest of the game. And that was the end of the football club. Seriously, we folded.
I'm not surprised. Quite right too.
Feels like that's where we are. He's just so in a different kind of way, not in an angry way, just in I don't know. And months ago when we were he's got to be sacked. It's the obvious, kindest thing to do here. We're now in this era of no one's got any clue how to respond here because Gary's obviously out of his depth. And so we're just shrugging our shoulders and doing a face and being yeah, it's really good that Sean McDonald signed another contract. So there we are.
Poor old Sean.
Anyway, second half, it's much of the muchness. They score again. It's another long distance effort. We just can't.
This one again is this one comes from a corner. I think it's Harris this time who isn't out, who isn't in the right position.
Yeah.
And isn't out quick enough to too much time to shoot. Again, they're setting up badly.
Yeah. And it goes to a crowd, but you felt like if they didn't score that one, they would have scored another one. You know, it was just...
Well, then to be honest, we lost 2-0, and that thinks, it's not too bad. We lost 2-0. It's like, because they completely took the foot off the gas after that. And to be honest, sort of before that, because they've got like this, haven't they got this some FA Cup game?
Well, they drew with Forest the week before, so they've got to do the replay.
Yeah, that's like today or something, isn't it?
Yeah, so obviously you'd knock off early, wouldn't you?
Well, they did, because they could.
Because they could. So it's 2-0. He throws on... one thing we haven't talked about yet is new signing, Ben Purrington.
Yes.
So he comes on. There's nothing he can do at this point. He's a defender anyway.
I mean, if you were going to analyse him, I thought he looked all right on the ball. And, I think it's, maybe we'll talk about the signings and more about him in a bit. But, I mean, nothing at this point was going to make any difference.
No, it gave him 25 minutes with the shirt on, didn't it? But that was that. So that's that. 2-0, another defeat. Another lacklustre performance. Yeah.
So I mean, but the home form, like we've talked about, has been improving.
Yeah.
And looked pretty good. And that is kind of more. And now we're in the position we're in. Said last week, going to get behind the team, and I am. We're in the position now where, of course, when you're in a relegation battle, you kind of think, right, you got to win your home games, and then for your away games, especially against the teams higher up the league, you want to try and avoid getting battered, be able to nick a point here and there, and then or you never know, maybe a bit better. But that's probably the case you're in. So, really, in terms of, especially given that there was only a 2-goal defeat against a team that we weren't going to beat, it's not on paper the worst result in the world.
It's just the narrative of it, Dan, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's the performance itself. Like I said, it was so uninspiring.
Because on the other hand, Blackpool 2-0 up with half an hour to go, they can take their foot off the gas because they've got this FA Cup game. From our perspective, we should be thinking they should be worn out from their FA Cup endeavours. They got another game coming up. What happens if we put the pressure on them? Even playing poorly, they didn't score till 40 minutes.
Oh yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
I think we could have given a much better
absolutely.
account of ourselves for sure. We don't just have to accept. Like I said, I don't mind accepting the defeat in context, but the performance, I think, I am going to moan about, and I have done. I do wonder whether perhaps Hartridge kind of could do with a bit of a break from the first team. He's obviously struggling with form.
Yeah.
They brought Purrington in. The obvious thing for me, I would suggest, would be him on the left wing back, where Jules goes, and put Jules where at the left of the three centre backs. Maybe he may well do that.
He might do that this Saturday, mightn't he?
But I would have thought that would make sense.
There's also rumours of Hartridge being off, aren't there? I don't know how likely that is, or maybe in the summer.
There are. So
should we talk about this?
Yeah. So we brought in Ben Purrington.
Yeah.
Left-sided wing back, left back.
Exeter lad.
Well, yeah, born in Exeter.
Yeah.
Exwick, he says.
Yeah.
He said he could hear St James Park from his house.
Yeah.
That would have been... How old is he?
Late 20s.
Sort of Tisdale era.
Yeah.
End of the...
Yeah, 20 years ago is, obviously, 2004.
Maybe a bit of Inglethorpe.
Yeah. Yeah, so, that era. And he then signs for Argyle Academy.
Yeah.
As a good...
So they had an academy in those days, and I don't now, or they have again?
I think they brought it back now, haven't they?
But we had one, but he didn't sign for us.
Yeah, at the time, of course, we're non-league.
Yes.
And Argyle are either Championship or League One, aren't they? So while no one should ever sign for Plymouth Argyle, certainly not someone who's born within the city limits, I do understand the logic.
Yeah.
But I spit on the thought of it.
Yeah. However, he's gone there.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. He ends up at Charlton, where he plays most of his games.
Championship.
Really well thought of there. Even now, I've used some of the comments on the posts on and replies on some of the Twitter posts. Charlton fans,
Yeah. Good memories of him.
Yeah, good memories of him. And he did, at one point, score against Plymouth.
Yeah.
For Charlton.
Yeah.
And he celebrated.
Yeah.
Emphatically. So, I'm willing to...
Yeah, of course.
Willing to... And we do have ex-Argyle players from time to time. We've got one or two now, but and
no, yeah, that's right. It's,
some of them I have liked. So.
But we've signed him from Ross County.
Yeah.
Most northerly football club in the country.
He's from Scotland. We've signed a player from Scotland.
Yeah, imagine that. And on one hand, you're like, oh yeah, championship experience. On the other hand, you're like, oh, that's Jordan Tilson's Ross County.
Is he still there?
Yeah, still a mainstay.
Tilly's still playing.
Yeah.
They're like a better team than us, aren't they? They're on the Premier League.
Yeah. I mean,
Tilson's still playing Premier League football.
Scotland's weird, isn't it?
Is he really still playing?
Yeah.
Like he's in the team?
Yeah.
He must be about 50.
No, he's not. He was young from the start, wasn't he?
Well, everyone was young from the start.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan Tilson was a baby once,
Yeah, that's right.
Baby.
That's the kind of insight.
He's not young.
I don't know. I'm looking him up. What I'm saying is, it's hardly... I mean, the world's greatest player could come from Ross County, but they're not likely to, are they? So, Jordan Tilson.
I think it's a good signing, and it's the kind
I
of
think it's a perfectly good signing.
While we are desperate for, obviously, different type of players.
Tilson's not even... Oh, no, he is. He's 30. He'll be 31 in March.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Really had that one wrong. He's got the kind... He doesn't necessarily look old. He's just got kind of old guy energy.
He left us... He only left us in 2020.
Yeah.
He played 110 games for us. Blimey.
Oh, a real mainstay of that era, wasn't he?
Yeah, but was he? I don't remember him ever really starting. Oh, my mistake. He's now with Dundee United. He played 100 games for Ross County, and he's gone on loan to Dundee United this year.
Okay.
Who are, I think they're Scottish Championship, aren't they? Anywho. Oh, why do I keep saying anywho? I really got to stop doing this.
It's in your vocabulary.
Apparently it is.
It's the thing you say. Stop denying that you're a person that says it.
I can't. Anyway, Tilson and Purrington have certainly been teammates recently.
Yeah. Okay. So we need attacking players, but I think it's a good.
Well, we're
signing.
Yeah,
I don't think
we're struggling at the back, aren't we?
Well, you've got Mitchell obviously out.
Yeah.
You've got Harper out. So there's both your first options at the start of the season. That was what the left hand side was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
They're both out. Zach Jules is playing there, but like I said, I don't really see him in that role particularly.
He's done a good job wherever he's been asked to be, but it's not his.
Yeah, a
preferred.
bit of a utility man, but he's done all right. And he's done well on time, but he'd never looked natural, kind of bombing it down the line, did he?
No.
So good signing.
Yeah.
Good
I agree.
signing.
It's a good signing, and we may well get a couple of good years out of him.
Yeah. So we've signed him for a fee. No one knows what, but he has signed, and I do. Yeah. I mean, that is a bit of a issue with the transfers since Corbell's taken over. It is like we haven't signed enough of these type of players where they kind of like they've got. There's not 1 year. It is only a short deal, though, isn't it?
Is it?
But it's potentially not. I mean, I suppose like we've actually signed. Like it's not like Tom Carroll where it's like clearly almost certainly only going to be here for one season.
Yes.
There's potential there for him to play for us.
Yeah.
For years to come.
We've all been talking about, for example, George Friend, haven't we? Coming back and doing a season for us. This is a similar. I realise Purrington didn't play for us, but it's a similar kind of thing. You think, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Well, he's younger than Friend, isn't he? So there's more scope for longevity. But given that he's moving back to the area.
Other big signing news, lol.
Yeah, well, there's nothing on the striker front yet. I haven't got the notifications turned on now.
Given
just
up,
because I think it's unlikely to be this time of the day. They always seem to be in the afternoon when we get them, don't we? So, I'm just not going to...
I just don't think it's happening.
Well, you earlier on referred to Gary Corbell as the boy with the thumb in his arse.
I did. I stand by that.
Yeah. Which is what Morrissey originally was referring to, I think.
Yeah, I think so. What's happening?
Well, look, everyone keeps saying it's difficult. I know there's a few people on Twitter who just go like, "Why haven't we signed the striker yet?" Doing it in a kind of like,
yeah.
But anyone who's questioning why we haven't got any strikers in yet. And bear in mind, we are over halfway through January now.
Yep.
Anyone is sort of scolded with, you think it's easy to get a striker in, don't you? Everyone thinks it's easy, and it's not. It's hard. We know it's hard.
We've been saying this for months.
Everyone knows it's hard. You don't have to. That doesn't have to be the only response to why haven't we signed a striker yet? Oh, it's actually more difficult than you think. You don't know anything about football, and we know everything. Everyone knows it's difficult, but we've known since
August the 20th.
Longer than that.
Yeah.
Probably coming up for a year.
Yeah.
That we were going to need if not longer.
Yeah.
That we were going to need to sign some strikers, or that was a good possibility we're going to need some strikers. Football, I know it happens. We know the situation. We know there's teams below us with more money. We know we're competing against other people. We accept those conditions, and we still think you still have to get somebody in.
Yeah.
And they will. I mean, we will. I'm confident we'll get some strikers in, because otherwise, I can't imagine what the reaction would be. You think people running on the pitch at Reading because of their dodgy owner is bad? If City don't sign a striker, I'll be the first on the pitch.
Will you?
Yeah.
And you'll be watched for a few minutes by the stewards, and then you'll wander off because you're bored.
That's what happens at St James Park.
It's starting to baffle me, all of it, and so
we'll have this conversation again in a couple of weeks, because we are going to sign a striker. Do you mean? But
well, anyway, pause that. We have made 2 announcements.
Oh, have we?
Yes.
Oh, go on.
Good
Can't
news.
wait to hear this.
Caleb Watts.
Who?
He's our midfielder, and he's played a few games for us. And Sean McDonald.
Right. I've never heard of either of these two.
They've signed till the end of the season.
Right.
Yannick Wildschut, who's the one of that 3 that might be worth hanging on to, has not yet signed.
No.
And seems unlikely to be doing.
Well, what's going on there?
Presumably he's looking for better offers.
Don't like it down here.
I mean, where's he from?
Holland. I'll tell you what the problem is.
What?
Exeter. Too many hills.
Fair comment.
He likes a flat.
Has he considered riding his bike along the estuary to Exmouth? Very flat there.
That's true, but then either at this one point, whether you're Exmouth based or Exeter based, you are going to have to go up a hill. Yeah, most of that bit's flat along the river there, but
as soon as you hit Topsham Road, hilly. Okay, he's not signed yet. The other 2 have. Now, Caleb Watts, okay, it makes sense. Although Colwell's like, well, he might not be back for a month yet.
I don't know
anyway.
who you're talking about.
Caleb Watts.
Who's that?
Our midfielder.
I've never heard of him.
The Australian.
He's not Australian.
He is.
No, he isn't.
He is.
I don't think he is.
Look him up.
Right.
Caleb Watts.
I have heard of him because he scored that goal, didn't he?
He did.
No one knew what his name was.
Yeah. If his name isn't Caleb Watts.
His name is Caleb Watts, all right?
And he's Australian.
Oh, he is Australian. Is he?
Yes.
Well, he's born in Essex.
I thought you were playing a stupid joke. Yes, he's Australian. He's signed to the end of the season, but he can't play for at least a month. He's back on the grass, which is probably the Dutchman's problem. And then thank you. And then Sean McDonald, that's right, our 4th goalkeeper, he's signed till the end of the season.
Oh,
Where's
thank God
Harry
for that.
Lee?
Oh, thank God for that.
What's happened to Gary Woods? Why did we sign Gary Woods on an extension?
Woods is injured.
Why did we sign him on an extension?
Because he's world class.
And then what's Harry Lee supposed to be? Is world class. He's not getting an absolute snifter.
I presume that the situation is this.
They called him back from loan.
I'm trying to get behind Gary and the boys.
Yes.
Woods is injured.
Yes.
Right? Forget about him.
Fine. So he's signed at the end of the season, but he's injured.
Forget about him.
Okay.
Caleb Watts?
Yeah.
He's not the one I mean.
Harry
Lee?
Yeah.
Presumably, they want him back out on loan, I guess, do they?
Why did they bring him back?
Don't know.
Oh. And then Colwell's justification for having Sean McDonald around. By the way, I got nothing against Sean McDonald, but he was like, he's really good in training and he's good on the sidelines shouting. Right. I'm good on the sidelines shouting. I'll do it for free.
No, you're not.
I am.
No.
Come on, lads. Run. Man on. Tom Carroll, there's a man on. Don't move.
Why are we so obsessed with...
Well, we got 4 goalkeepers.
Yeah, but why are we so obsessed with information from the sidelines
What's
that
that
isn't
about?
coming from... Because Caldwell and Perkins are screaming at the team the entire time from the what to do. Do you mean?
Yeah.
They're always on about... They're not just like those... You're not like Tisdale, do you mean? Where you just kind of lean back on that bit of advertising with your arms folded.
No.
And
Matt Taylor sat on your
watching
icebox.
some unfold in front of you. Which is, to be honest, an approach I prefer. But they're yelling at the team the whole time.
Yeah.
So they go, that's not enough. We need to have... I tell you what, I'm going to name Perks as a sub so we can go and do some down the other end, do a bit of shouting down there, and then now I'm going to sign a 4th goalkeeper
so
we can coach from the sideline bit further down from the dugout.
What? Spend our money better.
I don't know.
What's fine? If we how long is Watts on like a year and a half deal, or is it just till the summer?
I haven't seen.
If they really
sure
think
it's
he's
only
got,
till the summer.
if they really think he's got potential, I can see the sense in that.
And he may well have potential. Like he did look quite good.
Looked,
My worry is that we brought a player in who's had injury problems before, and managed about 10 minutes, and then got injured again, and we haven't seen him since. To the point that I've genuinely forgotten who he was, and apparently he's Australian.
I mean, if they can get him to the summer to resolve these injuries, then I do see the sense in that. And obviously we've done that in the past.
Yeah, and he's not old. He's maybe someone, and he looked talented. I'm not totally against.
No, I'm
Caleb
not
Watson,
either.
despite
But I mean, it's madness, isn't it? We're getting to this point of like.
I think people will be less frustrated with this news, the Sean McDonald news, which
I don't even know why they bothered to tell us. I think
the Trevor McDonald news.
if they hadn't mentioned
Trevor McDonald,
right,
yeah,
not Ryan Trevitt.
right, okay.
If they hadn't mentioned Trevor McDonald, and then on February the 1st, we're like, oh, Sean McDonald's here till the end of the year, I'd be like, yeah, fine, whatever.
Yeah, maybe just don't announce it until you've got a striker through the door. Do you know what I mean?
What makes sense to
PR,
me,
isn't it?
I understand why they've announced that.
Bit of PR.
Craig Bratt had to even say, like, and when he comes in, he will feel a bit like a new signing, won't he, Gary? And Gary's like, well, he's not coming back for a while. Like, flipping heck. He's trying. Craig's trying to give you something, Gary.
Yeah. Semper Fidelis.
Yeah.
That's what I would say to that.
Yeah.
Semper Fidelis. Jonathan Semper Fidelis.
Who's Jonathan Semper Fidelis?
You.
Oh, yeah, right. Thanks. Good advice.
Right, that's all the transfers.
That's all the transfers. There's nothing else.
Well, what are the rumours?
Carrie Kite and Alex Hartridge are leaving.
No, but what about the Bradford fella?
The Bradford fella. Did he play at the weekend? I've forgotten his
No,
name.
he didn't.
So he's on loan at Swindon.
Scored a load of goals for Swindon. Been recalled. I think the last thing I saw was that they said that Charlton had a bid rejected.
Yeah.
That seems to me like that's somebody we can't afford. But then we have heard that there's unprecedented amount of money to be spent.
Unprecedented.
What's he called? Like Billy Cooper or something?
That's not what he's called. He's called...
Elliot Young?
No.
Something Young? He's a Young. It's someone young.
Yeah, okay.
Die Young.
Hopefully not. Yeah, if Charlton are going for him...
Interesting one, actually. If Reading get rid of Die Young, maybe we could get him. Maybe he could come in and take over from the, the current ownership model.
Maybe. Jake Young is his name.
Jake Young, there you go. So there's a rumour for you. I know everyone's heard it already.
Port Vale, Charlton and us are all after him.
Okay.
And Alan Nixon reported we were the favourites.
What about Carlisle? Aren't they in for him as well or something?
Right, okay.
And they got cash to burn.
Yeah.
Who's Alan Nixon?
The journalist is usually right about stuff.
Okay.
Northern journalist. If we got him, I would say, yeah, fair enough, you've done what you promised.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
but a lot of hurdles to jump before that happens.
Yeah, and is there anybody else?
Very quiet.
What about the fella we were on about signing? We failed the medical
Morton.
Callum Morton, because he's been recalled by Northampton, right?
Right.
From Forest Green.
Okay. Ready to sell.
Yeah, although he hasn't done brilliantly for Forest Green, has he?
No. And that's League 2.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Right, next up, it's Cambridge United at home. Welcome back. It's the Big Bang Theory podcast. Remember, you can email us, bigbankpod@gmail.com, or find us on Twitter @BigBankPod. We're on Facebook as well, too. Cambridge, home. They're 16th in the league. We're 20th. We're still loitering outside. Obviously, there's all this mess at Reading. They sit directly below us.
Yeah.
So their game was called off. What do you call it? Abandoned.
Yeah.
So they're...
Both the two teams below us, I mean, yeah, forget about that for a second. They both could go above us if they win their games in hand, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they would go above us.
Would go above us.
Yeah. Because of our terrible goal average. Cambridge are 4 places above us in 16th. Like we said before, it's a really bad league, actually, this year. And Charlton in 13th are only on 30 points, which is 4 points ahead of us.
Yeah.
So we string together some good results. We march our way out of trouble.
Yeah.
And like you said, if the home
I still
form
believe
continues,
we can do it. You mean?
I firmly believe we can do it. I'm just bemused by the approach to how to do it.
Yeah. I'm a bit as well. Yeah, so Cambridge, it's another must-win game.
Ooh.
And what they say is they're all must-win games now. Yeah.
I mean, this really is.
But, you know what we mean. But the last time that we had Carlisle, that was a must-win game, and we did win it.
Yeah.
So we need to put in a good performance here, because this is what the situation we're in now. Like I said earlier on, we're in a scrap. We need to win the home games, especially against the teams around us. Cambridge not in great form, beatable team definitely if we're on our game.
100%.
And then like that does afford you a bit of a kind of more like leeway for the difficult away games.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't damaged us too badly losing, like mathematically losing to Blackpool. It's inevitable, like we're not going to win every game. No one expects us to. So, but I think if we want to avoid being one of the worst of a, handful of far more than 4 bad teams in this division, or teams that are kind of bad through no fault of their own, like Reading. If we want to avoid being in that, avoid going down, like it's obvious. This is the sort of game we have to get a result out of.
Yeah, because after this...
Oh, it gets tough.
Well, I think
it gets
until
lonely.
Fleetwood on the 24th of February, which is more games away than you'd imagine, there's 7 games before that.
Oh, we got to play Bristol twice.
Well, I think everyone's in the top half of the league except us.
Derby.
Yeah.
Is it Peterborough twice as well and Bristol twice?
Bristol twice, Peterborough, Barnsley, Cambridge, Wigan, Derby, Lincoln.
Yeah, difficult.
And then we've got Peterborough after Fleetwood. And then we've got Bolton at home until we go to Shrewsbury away and Burton at home. So we could, if we don't get a point, if we don't get something from Cambridge at home.
I worry about that because I think last time we had a kind of like, and the same happened last season when we had on paper this kind of like quite daunting little run of fixtures.
Fell apart.
It fell apart. We cannot.
We were in no position to be able to
afford that to happen this season. Like not right now. I mean, just when we're picking up a bit of momentum. I mean, thank goodness we have got a few points on the board because
if we were in the relegation zone,
not that many points on the board. It does depend on getting a striker in. I don't think it's by no means the only problem we have on the pitch. I think, like I said, it will help us. It will take the pressure off, especially against more difficult teams. It will take the pressure off the midfield and defence if we have someone who's a bit more like Nombe. I'm not saying we it has to be as good as Nombe, but someone who's kind of can compete aerially, is strong enough to put himself about, hold up the ball, bring other players in, just keep the ball in the opponent's half for a bit.
Yeah.
You just need somebody who can do that just vaguely competently.
Yeah, because we got willing runners with Harris, Aitchison,
Yeah,
Rankin.
that's how this
system
should work.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's absolutely against strong teams. Like Cambridge of the weekend, we may well be fine with the current setup. I'm not 100% sure. Can't really remember what they're like, but they're not that good. So it might be all right. But long term, especially with this difficult run coming up, there's got to be, to give ourselves a chance, we need somebody who can do a bit more up there.
Yeah.
Because like you said, we've got the players coming onto it. Harris, again, didn't get much of the ball on Saturday, but looked like someone who can, if we can get the ball forward, make some things happen,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we won't have a better idea post-Cambridge, but I guess that will help us to think about which way we're kind of pointing. Kind of. Like, if we lose that...
Yeah, no, I think that's the only... If we lose it, but things start to look bad. Well, that's. I think that would be a kind of... That's 2 losses. It'll be 2 losses in a row. That's backward momentum, isn't it? Whereas we may well be... we're running into some really difficult teams, like we just said in this run, after this game. So we need this boost to take us into it, don't we?
We really do. Okay. Well, get your notifications on again, everyone. Maybe it'll be dinging like mad.
Oh, I don't know. I just had a little look then, just in case. Nothing.
Nothing.
No, the boy with a thumb in his arse.
I mean, my question here is, this guy Marcus Flitcroft.
Yeah. Careful, you never know who's listening to this podcast.
I mean, maybe he's listening. I'm going to ask some questions. He was head of recruitment. Now he's director of football. Is that correct?
Well, I think that's definitely what they said at the AGM. That might have changed again. I'm not checking the website every day. I don't really know.
I don't want to be that person who's like, "What do you do?" But there's got to be some accountability for a job poorly done. And maybe it's him, maybe it's not him, maybe he's identified all the targets beautifully and the board have been too reluctant or too slow to act.
Yeah, ultimately it's not up to him to kind of get those deals across the line, right?
Right?
I mean, I don't really know what his job is, so I don't know that for a fact, but from what I understand,
yes,
he just goes like, I suppose essentially you're just like head of scouting, are you?
I don't know.
And you just go, have a look at him, he looks good, doesn't he?
Or is he hamstrung by Gary being really difficult and having the wrong expectations? Or, I don't know. So I don't want to point fingers, but somewhere in this process, someone's letting the side down. Because, as you said, even from the minute Giovanni Brown looked like he might go to Portsmouth, we knew how things were looking.
Yeah, before that.
Probably from the moment we got promoted.
From the beginning of that season, of course.
Because we knew how good it looked. And what have we done about it?
Well,
it feels like not very much.
We don't know. I'm sure they're trying their best, but like you said, sometimes.
Don't doubt that.
But yeah, that's not really the point, is it? That sometimes you can't just fail and expect there to be no consequence. I'm not asking for anything to happen to anyone. I'm just saying the glaringly obvious thing is from this season and from the end of last season is a really kind of poor recruitment in certain areas. I think a lot of players we brought in are good. Some of the contracts and the situations are less than ideal.
Yeah.
Given that we probably want to be trying to look a little bit further than just one season, and then other times there's just like with the striker. I mean, I'm bored of it.
And I similarly don't want anyone to lose their job. I don't want anyone to be failing at their job. What you want to see is proper support for people so they can do their job well. And if they were able to say, look, everyone's pulling in the correct direction and doing as they've been asked, but the reason X, Y, and Z happened was because someone did the dirty on us. We got absolutely priced out in ways we didn't expect to. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is, then you'd be like, okay, fair enough. I understand the situation. Or if they're like, we're convinced that most other clubs are bending the rules to do things, I'd be like, okay, all right.
All those things may well be true.
Yeah.
I just don't think any of it justifies not having any strikers at all.
No.
Like, I know we got in Musquay on loan, and that didn't work out. Maybe it's unfair to not mention that fact, because he might have been brilliant. We don't.
Fine.
But it hasn't worked out.
But
I just think even with that in place, we needed reinforcements before that and as well as that. And anyway, I know they said, look, we tried to get someone. Basically, it was Harris, wasn't it? We didn't get him.
Well,
he's not a striker.
And Matey, that's
Morton. Yeah.
But the old don't put all your eggs in one basket. It seems like we only put a couple of eggs in one basket, so it wasn't even.
Yeah, don't forget it's really difficult to sign strikers.
It isn't though, is it? Like that's the truth of it. It might be difficult to sign exactly the right striker. So Nombe doesn't come along every week, but as we've said all along, Lincoln got a fella in from the Irish League. Other people have found other people who are able to be signed up from different leagues in different parts of the season. Other teams are getting loan players who are no worse off than us and are in no worse locations than we are.
Oh, I mean, we're honestly at the point where it's like, just like I said, we're saying before, just someone who can vaguely do the job.
Yeah.
It can't have been that hard to get someone who could do that.
No, that's right. There we are. That's the situation. It's Tuesday at midday. Maybe the signings will be flying in between now and Saturday.
There is still 2 weeks in there.
There is still 2 weeks.
That's important to remember. And I'm confident we're going to get the players in.
I like your confidence.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone. My name's John. I've been here with my friend and colleague Dan.
Cheers.
See you soon.